want to take seemingly a little detour from the topics I've been talking about, the topic I've been talking about, which is around kind of what's the true human nature and how we're meant to function as humans. So a show I've been watching, old show, well, relatively old, Friday Night Lights. It was a show from like the early 2000s, from a movie, but they made it into a show, and it's about a high school football town in Texas. It's just, kind of a typical drama. There's some family drama involved. There's a bunch of high school kids playing football, but also other drama that goes on in high school. So, just your typical show, if you will. But there's a character on the show. His name's Tim Riggins. I forget the guy's real name. And he's the character which you see in a lot of shows. He's kind of a free spirit to an extent. He does things his own way. He's also a little bit of a screw up. He gets into trouble a lot. He makes some bad decisions, but at the core, he's a good person, and you can tell he's always trying to do right by people. And he tries to live his life his own way. He tries to not overthink things. He tries to just enjoy. And enjoy the simple aspects of life. And in the context of the show, in high school, his desire, what he really wants is to just, graduate and have a simple life, maybe work at, an auto shop, have a family, marry his high school sweetheart, go to football games on Friday nights and just be happy. He's not worried about college. He's not worried about any of those things. And it's interesting because in the show, he's constantly being pushed to say, you have to do more. You have to want more. You should go to college. You should make something of your life. You should do something. And he's constantly kind of swimming against that tide. And he's constantly trying to almost, fight people figuratively to the point of having them understand, like, this is what I want. This is what I want out of life. And that should be okay. And in many ways, as you watch the show, it's clear that the writers or whoever wants you to think like there's a complex aspect to that, but in many ways that he should want more, that he should strive for more. But I find myself, as I watch the show, there's something kind of like refreshing and liberating about his character. There's something about somebody who doesn't conform necessarily, doesn't buy into, to some extent, the peer pressure of what he should do with his life and what should make him happy, and really just focuses on what does make him happy. And he's okay with that. He's unapologetic about it. The ups and downs that come with it, he understands he's not perfect, but he's okay with that. And it makes me think, so to tie it back now a little bit to the true human nature, is that it? Is that the answer? I've talked about in past videos, in our base kind of first principle level. That's what's ingrained in us. That's our driver, to maximize pleasure, minimize discomfort, to try and do that as efficiently as possible. Ideally not hurt anybody else, ideally not cause anybody else any pain, as we just try and maximize pleasure in our lives, however we define it. And in many ways, that's what he was trying to do. Again, he wasn't a bad person. He wasn't trying to take advantage of anybody. He just wanted to maximize his pleasure. So maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's what we should all really just strive for. And, I'll talk about it a little bit, because there's a part of me that, as I hear that, is compelled to say, well, that can't be it though, right? Like, much like the people on the show are saying, if everybody took that approach in life, what would happen, right? Like, because some people have to strive for more. They have to strive to be better. That's how we advance. That's how we get technological and medical and all different, breakthroughs in society. And you need people to step up and be leaders and actually care about other people to the extent that they're willing to try and maximize other people's pleasure, not just worry about themselves. Even if they're not trying to hurt people, you need some people that are standing up to try and help other people. And there's a part of me that feels compelled to have that view. The problem, though, as I kind of debate that with myself, is that sounds good in theory. Conceptually, that sounds fantastic. And in many ways, it's what I want to try and aspire to be. The problem, though, is it's not clean and clear and easy. Conceptually, it's, be better, try and help other people, do the right thing for people, right? But what happens when that's unclear? What happens when value systems or definition of pleasure or pain differ for people? What happens when time horizons come into play? And, am I helping people today, or am I helping people 30 years from now, and therefore maybe it feels a little more like I'm sacrificing people today, right? It gets difficult. And it gets, as we know in society, it's difficult to tell who are the heroes, if you will. Who are the people that are heroes versus the villains? When we're kids and we're watching TV shows, to bring it back to, cartoons or comic books, it's very clear, the good guys and the bad guys. The problem when we grow up is it's not clear anymore. The good guys and bad guys, it's very hard to distinguish between those two. And sometimes even for themselves. There are certainly some bad actors in the world whose intent is sorely to hurt other people or to, get their own benefit at the expense of others. But there are certainly, to the cliche, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. There are certainly people who seemingly believe they mean well as they do horrible things in the world. So, that's kind of the counter, right? I'm compelled to feel like people should strive for more and try and do better and help people and be better and all that stuff. But if you can't tell and you don't really know and it's all a crapshoot and it's all a guessing game, maybe we would be better off all acting like Tim Riggins and just trying to do right by everybody, minimize that friction and do the right thing. Maybe if everybody did genuinely take that approach, that's what to strive for. That's the goal. As I said, it certainly feels refreshing and liberating and seems, the shortest distance. It's kind of the straight line to the objective we're trying to reach. But I can't help but still feel like it's not enough. I can't help but believe there has to be some way to, as close as we can, tell that there's people that can strive for more and be better. If there are people that are truly good actors and, good in their heart, or however you want to define it, who want to help others, that's not something you shouldn't strive for. There has to be some way to get to that point. And as I've talked about recently, I think that's the importance of the things I'm trying to improve in myself and talk about in these videos. The skills of thinking better, trying to be logical and rational and identifying your blind spots and seeing different perspectives and being empathetic and humble and having the mental toughness. Those are the traits that don't guarantee it, but they help as best they can ensure that if you are taking some action and you want to believe it's a good faith, good action that's going to help people, if you follow those things, if you have those traits, you're much more likely to be in a scenario where that checks out, right? You're much more likely to be that person that doesn't find themselves walking on down that paved road to hell in good intentions, because you're being objective, you're taking in inputs, you're willing to entertain the idea that you might have it wrong. It's when you don't have those traits that you can head down that path and that we have problems in society. So I think if you can embrace that, if you can't do that, then the Tim Riggins life is probably the one that you should go for. But if you believe you can and you can and exhibit those traits, those are the people we want to push harder and to try and do the great things in society.